Bright QT. Every student matters.
Now let us talk about the Indian education system, popularly known as the Kothari Commission. So, Indian education system 1964 to 1966, which is popularly known as the Kothari Commission, was set up by the Government of India on 14th July 1964 under the chairmanship of Daulat Singh Kothari, who was the chairman of the University Grant Commission, UGC in short. Now, this Kothari Commission aimed at looking into and monitoring all the educational sectors across the country. Okay, there were a lot of other objectives behind setting up of this commission, which included one of the major objectives of this commission was the evolution of the education system. They wanted the education system to develop, they wanted the education system to grow and prosper. The commission was the sixth commission in India after the independence, and this was the first commission, which talked about education in a comprehensive term, not just focusing on academic, but the comprehensive, the holistic development of the children was analyzed by this Kothari Commission only. The commission submitted its report on 29th June 1966, and its recommendations were accommodated, whatever recommendations were given by the Kothari Commission, they came into effect in the India's first national policy of education, which was written in 1968. So this was the impact of the Kothari Commission. Now, what all were the provisions or the recommendations of the Kothari Commission? First, this commission wanted free and compulsory education. So this commission actually made efforts in order to make available free and compulsory education for the children up to the age of 14 years. So, they made a lot of efforts, and also under the directive principle, under the Article 45 of the Constitution, they wanted that up to the age of 14, every child should get free as well as compulsory education. They wanted to make various possibilities, they wanted to make various provisions to reduce the wastage that was taking place in the schools, to ensure that every child who was enrolled in the school was able to complete the prescribed course, and that too successfully. Okay. Next, this commission wanted the status of the salary which was given to the teachers as well as the education of the teachers. Now, we know that one of the most important factors that lay emphasis or that decide the quality of education is the contribution of the teacher, right? So, on the basis of the personal qualities, characters, the educational qualifications, the professional competence, the success of the educational institution dependent on them. Therefore, the Kothari Commission recommended that the teachers should be hired, according to keeping in mind the same basic requirements, and they should always be given a very respectable place in the society. The salaries, the other services incurred by the teachers should be adequate, should be satisfactory, and should pay due respect to their qualifications and the responsibilities that were empowered to them. the academic, the freedom of the teachers to decide what should be a part of the curriculum and what should not be a part of the curriculum should be taken complete regard. It was not entirely going to be a decision of the principal to decide what should be in the curriculum, but the teacher who knows the students at the grassroots level. So the whatever academic decisions were to be taken, the teacher had complete freedom to speak and to write about the issues. The education of the teacher should be given due emphasis. So the teacher should be very well educated to be a teacher themselves. Next, recommendation was given by the Kothari Commission in the field of development of the languages. First, it talked about the regional languages. Kothari Commission wanted that the Indian languages and the Indian literature should be given due importance and due emphasis in the educational system. They believed that unless it was done, the people will not be able to channelize their energies in the due manner, and the educational standard will not be able to improve, and the knowledge will not spread among the people, you know and the division that hailed between how intelligent the people were or how intelligent the people could become, that gap would continue to become wider and wider. Therefore, Kothari Commission wanted that the regional languages should be used in every field as far as possible. They should be a part of media also, and at the primary and the secondary stage, they should be specifically implemented. They wanted to employ, or they wanted to adopt the regional languages as the medium of education even at the university level, because they understood how important it was for the betterment of the country. The Kothari Commission laid forth the three language formula. At the secondary stage, the state government should adopt and implement three language formula, which meant one language in their curriculum was to be a modern Indian language, either one of the southern languages, apart from Hindi and English. Then one should be Hindi or the regional language, and one should be English. So this was the three language formula that they talked about, that they emphasized on. Kothari Commission also wanted that suitable courses to be made available in Hindi or English, and even in universities and colleges, with a view to improve the proficiency, the skills of the students in these languages. Now, as far as the Hindi language was concerned, Kothari Commission wanted that efforts should be made to promote the development of Hindi language, which was obviously our mother tongue. It should be made as the linking language. It should be used in everyday basis, and one had to take care that it got the due respect that it deserved. And therefore, the importance which was laid to the Hindi language was also written in the Article 351 of Constitution, and the Hindi language was made the language or as the medium of instruction for all the cultural, the culture of India. The Kothari Commission emphasized on the establishment. They wanted that non-Hindi states or the non-Hindi colleges and the other higher education, they which use Hindi as the medium of instruction should be given more and more encouragement. Then talking about Sanskrit, The Kothari Commission understood the importance of Sanskrit language for the growth and development of the Indian languages, and they also understood the contribution that Sanskrit had made in the field of education, not only at the school but also at the university level, and therefore they wanted it to be developed further. They wanted that new methods, new teaching methodology should be used to promote and to teach the Sanskrit language, so that more and more students will get encouraged and inspired to make use of the Sanskrit language, and they would be able to get themselves very well knowledgeable. Next comes the international languages. Special emphasis was to be laid on English and the other international language as well. So you see, Kothari Commission not only wanted the development of the mother tongue or the vernacular languages or Sanskrit, but equal importance to be paid to the international languages also. They believed that knowing about the world, which was changing at a significant pace, specifically about the changes that were taking place in the field of science and technology, it was very important for Indians to have good knowledge about the international languages also, because only then they would be able to learn and contribute something to it. Then comes the equalization of the educational opportunities. Now, Kothari Commission laid a lot of efforts, to make sure that equal educational opportunity is provided to one and all. They tried that whatever imbalance or whatever disturbance existed in the educational scenario because of the regions, they should be got rid of. That means, be it the urban or the rural areas, both of them should have equal opportunities for education. In order to promote national integration, in order to ensure that a common education was given to the students across the country, they wanted the common school system, which was recommended by the Education Commission of India. And efforts were to be made to improve the standard of education in the schools. All the special schools, like the public schools, were required to admit the students on the basis of their merit, on the basis of their, intelligence, and should also provide scholarships to these students if in case they were not able to afford that. However, they wanted that the minorities should also be protected and the rights of the minorities should be preserved. And this was laid under the Article 30 of Constitution. Education of girls was to receive due emphasis, not only because it was unjust, but because only when the girls of the country would be educated, the social transformation of the country would be huge. More efforts were to be taken place to develop education among the backward classes, especially the tribal people. They were to be educated specifically. Educational facilities for the physical or for the mentally handicapped children was to be expanded, and attempts were to be made in order to ensure that the educational program which is designed for such students is such that they are coming regularly to school, that they are interested in learning from whatever is taught to them in the school. Next focus of Kothari Commission was on the identification of the talent of the students. In order to strive for excellence, it was very important for them to identify the talent of the students at different stages. There were children who were talented in one way or the other. So they wanted that these students, the talent of these students should be identified and should be prospered. They should be given a lot of opportunity to grow so that they can learn how to use their interests and their inbuilt talent in the most appropriate manner. Work experience and national service. Now, the school and the community, Kothari Commission wanted that the school as well as the society should work together. There should be programs which are organized by both of them together, because it was because of the integration of both of them that some changes can be brought over in the students. The students would be taught to think about community services. The students will be taught about how to think about the country on a whole, and also will understand that this plays a very important part of the education system. The government wanted that character building, self help, creation of social commitment to be inculcated in the students on a regular basis. Next field of Kothari Commission was science education and research. Now, as we've talked about earlier, Kothari Commission understood the changing role of science and technology across the world, and in order to keep pace with the changes that were taking place in the field of science and technology, Kothari Commission wanted that science and mathematics, these two subjects, should be made an integral part of education and should be taught to the students till the end of the school stage. Next, they wanted the education for agriculture and industry to be given to the students, because we know that there were students who hailed from the rural India where still their families depended on farming and agriculture. And for those living in the urban areas surrounded by the industries, obviously they needed to have hands-on practice in that. So Kothari Commission wanted that there should be at least one agricultural university in every state, and at least one campus university where there should have different colleges and different students learning together under the same roof. The other universities can also want, if they want, can include the agricultural subjects and can also develop strong departments where, education is one of the subjects which is taught to the students. Now, for the technical education, the commission wanted practical training in industry that should be made integral part of this education. Technical education and research should be related closely to the industries, encouraging the flow of personal and personal topic, and for ensuring that the students are getting cooperation in the provision of such courses, so that whatever facilities, whatever programs can make the students work in a better manner, they can do that. Kothari Commission also wanted that the agriculture should be reviewed on a continuous basis, so that whatever development is needed for a betterment of the agricultural fields should be notified, and that effort should continuously be maintained, should be made to maintain a balance between what these educational institutions were delivering and how many employment opportunities existed for those with agricultural stream. Now came the production of books. Now the commission wanted that the quality of books should be improved by attracting the best writing talent. They wanted the good writers to come up. They wanted the good writers to volunteer themselves for writing the books that could prove to be very well knowledgeable and informative. They wanted the quality of their textbooks to be of high quality. And they also did not want the textbooks to be changed on a frequent basis. They wanted a system to be made in such a manner that whatever textbooks were to be made a part of the curriculum, they were common. For the students of class 2 across the school, the textbooks or the curriculum was to be made the same throughout the country. Also, the special emphasis was to be given to the books for those children or those universities who were studying in the regional languages. Then about the examination. Now, without the examination, the students and their efforts cannot be assessed. So, examination should be such that they are reliable, they are authentic, and they actually make the judgment criteria very fair and just. The examination should be such that a continuous evaluation of the students is made, and they are analyzed on the basis of how much they've learned throughout the year, and the certificate is given to them accordingly. Now came their stress on secondary education. Now, according to Kothari Commission, educational opportunities which were given at the secondary level were very important, because after the secondary level, the child actually steps into the real world. That is the time when this child aims towards changing himself, transforming himself for the betterment of the country, of the society. So the facilities for the secondary education should be such that whatever loopholes existed in the previous time, according to the previous commission, should be clarified, they should be solved, and they all need to be worked upon so that the secondary education can be flawless. The commission wanted an increase in the technical and vocational education. This is something that has been so far being emphasized upon. Facilities for the secondary and the vocational education was to be confirmed by the universities. It is not that it was a choice, but it was mandatory for all the schools, for all the universities to involve vocational and technical education, so that some real employment opportunities can be developed for the students. This was important because only with the help of the technical and vocational education, the students could be made prepared for the large number of fields that they could take or they could be a part of. They could be a part of the agriculture, industry, trade, commerce, medicine, public health, management, arts, craft, training. So all these fields, were to be made available for them. They were to be given hands-on training in each of these fields, and only then could you expect the education, to be significant for these kids. Then about the university education, the commission wanted that the number of the time the students were to be admitted in a college or in the university was to be decided on the basis of the laboratory, the staff, and the library of the university. What they meant was that only as many number of students should be accommodated in the university, that they have a good proportion or a good ratio of teacher to be over them. They never wanted a class without a teacher. So, in proportion to a teacher or a staff, over them, the admission of the students were to take place. A lot of care was needed in establishing new universities, and they wanted that only after appropriate funds were arranged, the universities could begin, and the universities were to be taken care of very nicely, because it was on the basis of university education that the children could prepare themselves for the future. So they wanted the universities to meet proper standards. This is what they aimed at. They wanted that special attention should be given to the organization of whatever postgraduate or the graduate courses were implemented, and the teaching standard, the training level, the research should be exemplary. There should not be any flaw, there should not be any defect in that. The centers for advanced studies should be strong. There should be some amount of such study centers available at different areas, so that no student can be deprived of getting a higher and a better education. They wanted that better support should be given for research in the universities. The institutions for research should function well, and should be very well associated with the university, so that if there is any new research that they have found in the field of education, the same should be intimated at the earliest to the universities. Part-time education or correspondence courses was also a matter of discussion by the Kothari Commission. So part-time education and correspondence courses were to be developed on a large scale at the university stage, because it was on the basis of these courses that the teachers, the students could prepare for agriculture, for industries, and for the other works that could make them earn money simultaneously. Education through the part-time and the correspondence courses, it was very important that they had the same status, they had the same value as the full-time education. Because if the value or the status would have wavered, the students would have never got themselves enrolled in the part-time or the correspondence courses. Now, the commission wanted and the commission aimed that such facilities were going to smooth, to make it smooth for the students to move from school to work. This ways, they would also be able to promote education, to provide maximum opportunities to the students who want to educate themselves, but at the same time, they want to earn. So, this ways, a balance would be struck by them. Now, the next was the spread of literacy and the adult education. Adult education, we all know, educating the children was something that they were taking care of. But what about those adults who were not educated? So, what were to be done by them? So, mass literacy was very important for a good country, for a democratic country, and to ensure a better production in the fields of agriculture, in the national development in general. The government wanted, the commission wanted that more and more people who were working in the commercial fields or the industrial fields should have some sort of knowledge. They should be literate. The teachers and the students should be involved in organizing such literacy campaigns, so that on a national level, on a social level, the problem of education can be solved. The commission also wanted to lay a lot of emphasis on the education of the farmers and the education of the youth so that they could be self-employed. Now let us talk about the games and sports. Games and sports was to be developed on a large scale because the ultimate objective of the government was that the fitness, of the students, we all understand is very important. The physical fitness of the students mattered the most. It is one of the primary intentions that each one of us strives for. So basically, the commission wanted that better playgrounds, good facilities, education, physical education should be provided to the students apart from the academic education. Because with this, better sportsmanship could be developed in the students. Next, they talked about the education of the minorities. Now, we all understand the meaning of minorities. Minorities refer to that group, or that, you know, strata of the society who were not that privileged to get better education and to get better facilities. So, the government wanted to make efforts to protect and to ensure that the rights of the minorities should be promoted and should be protected. They should also be educated and they should also be provided with the equivalent facilities and equivalent opportunities. And this was also stated in a statement which was issued by the conference that took place of the chief ministers of states and central ministers in August 1961, where they wanted the minorities to be given equal importance and opportunities. Next was the education of the educational structure. Now, obviously, the educational structure was again very important. The educational structure was something that they wanted. Yes, so the educational structure was again a very important topic. They knew that the educational structure should be such that it was unique, that it was uniform, and that they decided to follow 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern. 10 years as the primary and the middle school, 2 years of the higher school, and 3 years of the second of the college education. This was the pattern that was decided. Now, they wanted that the education should be reconstructed in such a manner that whatever investment they have made in the field of education should be able to reap them the equivalent benefit by the end of it. The investment made should be equal to the revenue earned by them at the end of it when the students will get a job and will start earning income. So the national income should also be such. This is what they aimed at. The government of India specifically emphasized on the fact that educating the people was not an easy task, that they had very scarce resources. The problems that they faced were very high, but finding a solution to them, ensuring to provide education, ensuring to provide science, and the role that was played by research in the development of the resources of the country was very important. The government was ready to undertake the programs in the central sector in order to ensure that everything goes on in a balanced and well coordinated manner. The government also decided that they were going to review the commission and the recommendations implemented by them every 5 years so that they would be able to see the progress they have made, and if changes required, the same would be made.